If you are somebody that keeps saying, yes, you're going to get started on email marketing, but you haven't yet, then this is the episode for you. Maybe you even signed up for an email service provider, but actually getting people on the list and sending those weekly emails feels like dragging your feet through the mud. I've got you. This episode's going to break down what you need to consider to get your email marketing up and running. Welcome back to another episode of the Cozypreneur podcast. If this is your first time listening, Cozypreneur is all about helping you make money and work with the dreamiest of clients. So grab your beverage, get your cozy socks on, and let's dive in. So why email marketing? It is really the best alternative to social media. It's something that you own. So even if you sign up for an email service provider like Flowdesk or ConvertKit, or ActiveCampaign and you don't like it, you can always move your list to another platform. The other thing about email marketing is your people actually have to opt in to hear from you, right? So then you have an audience of people who actually do want to hear from you versus social media where maybe they follow you, but maybe they just found you. And so because of that, because they have chosen to hear from you, you're going to have a higher conversion rate through email marketing than social media because those people are warmer. They want to be there. They want to hear about how to work with you. So the other thing to consider about email marketing is that it is a relationship with your readers. So you don't have to have every single thing figured out by the time you send your first email. You don't need a name for your newsletter. You can figure it out as you go. So my emails look a lot different now than they looked when I first started my email list almost 2 years ago. And so just think about that. That is something that can evolve naturally. You can kind of see like what resonates more with your audience and then start giving them more of what they like. And then you can also play around with like what makes sense for you and what feels good to you, right? And then playing with that as well. So before you jump into email marketing, or even if you have your email marketing, it's not a bad idea to do this, but thinking about why you're sending those emails and what are people going to get out of your email community? So thinking about why should people join your email list? What value are you going to bring to their lives? What's going to set you apart and your emails apart from the hundreds of other emails that clutter their inbox? And that's going to be your email unique value proposition. So you should have a unique value proposition for your business, but also thinking about your email, zooming in a little bit. How can you be more intentional in how you serve your audience? And then that's going to also help you communicate the value of your email list when you start asking people to opt in. And I would say when you are just starting out, I would just straight up ask people, hey, I'm starting my email list. Can I add you to it? I'd love to keep you updated on what's going on. And you'd be surprised at how many people are willing to get your emails because they are cheering you on. So when you know what value you're going to provide, what kinds of things are you going to do with your email list, it's time to figure out what your emails will look like. And so again, this is something that can change. It's not something that you need to figure out once and then, have it be that way forever and ever. But there's different things that you can think about it. So you could do just simple plain text emails. You can do a newsletter style with different segments. Maybe you have a blog that you want to feature or a podcast you want to feature, or you want to just use your emails to let people know what you're selling. So thinking about that and thinking about how often you want to email your community. So, I've seen people who email every single weekday versus once a week or once a month or every Tuesday and Saturday. What's going to make sense for your capacity or if you're outsourcing your budget? And this is going to really depend on you, where you are in business, what your goals are, how much effort and time do you want to put into email. And this is also something that you play around with. So when I started my email community, I was emailing once a week. And I emailed once a week for a long time. And then I played around with emailing more than once a week. And then I realized that is way too much. I am getting overwhelmed. I can't keep up with all my emails. And now finally, I've kind of settled somewhere in the middle and I email every Tuesday, Thursday. And so that is easy for me to keep up with. I can batch all of my emails in one day for the month, and then I can just schedule them and not worry about it. So just thinking about what you're going to offer in your emails, what kind of structure do you want your emails to look like, what's something that you can kind of easily reproduce week after week that's going to make sense and not take you forever and ever. Like, you don't need to spend hours designing the perfect looking email for something that somebody's going to spend 90 seconds reading, right? So next up, after you have an idea about how you want to structure your emails, thinking about your marketing calendar. So when you're thinking about marketing your social media content, your emails, your blogs, your podcasts, all of these should be aligned based on what you're promoting at any specific time. And so when you are planning out your emails, thinking about what is it that you're promoting, and I'll do another episode on how to create a marketing calendar, especially as we get closer into the new year, 2025, so that you can go in feeling ready to go. If you are promoting your membership, you can do a whole month of emails specifically around your membership. So, for example, if it is a membership for social media managers, right? Talk about the problems that your dream clients are facing. So what is it that social media managers are facing? Maybe it's that they are neglecting their own content because they're so behind on client work. And so you can just talk about all of that in one email. And then for a call to action, you don't necessarily have to say like, oh, hey, here's my offer. You can either give them a resource to check out, you can tell them where they can learn more, you can ask them to reply to your email. So play around with different ways to engage your audience, because yes, you probably won't get a lot of replies, especially if your list is small, but really just beginning to think about how can you make this a conversation? How can you make it a two-way street? So week 1, talk about the problems. Week 2, talk about why those problems matter and how it's impacting their lives. So back to the social media example, say that, yes, they are neglecting their own content, and what it's creating is this feast and famine cycle where when they have clients, they're not marketing. And then when they lose a client, they are all of a sudden marketing nonstop because they desperately need a client. And so reframing it that it doesn't have to be like that for them. They can actually create a system where they have consistent marketing and they have consistent leads when they lose a client, and they don't have to create this like really stressful response right when they need to sign a new client. And so talking about that in an email, because some people might not realize how important that is, that consistent marketing, even when you're fully booked out. And so giving them something else to think about, a new perspective to think about, that can be really useful in your emails. Week 3, go into what are the solutions that your dream clients can try. And so I know that a lot of you are really great at helping and you just want to help solve everybody's problems. And so this is your time to shine. What are some tips that you can give? What's some educational value that you can give? What would you do if you were in the same position? And just giving them some of that advice so that they can kind of skip some of the same mistakes that you made and really like get that win. So when you are thinking about these first 3 weeks, the problem, agitation, and solution, really thinking about exactly how they relate to your offer, right? Because if you listen to the past episodes, you want to think about how does this story, the story of your dream clients, how does it like thread through all of the emails? And so if their problem is they're not marketing themselves, the solutions they can try is maybe creating a system, right? And that needs to be directly related to your offer. So your offer needs to be about exactly how they can stop neglecting their own content, right? So week 4, before you go into your offer, share your brand story, share how you got started. Maybe you can share exactly why you created this offer. Maybe you saw a gap in the space and you realized that you actually know how to solve this problem and it's a really common problem and that's why you created this offer. Maybe it's something that you struggled with for a long time and you kind of figured it out through a lot of coaching and now you're ready to share it with your audience. And so really thinking about what are ways that you can share your personal brand, your own story, so people can get to know you on like a more intimate level, not necessarily like you're going to be BFFs, but like people want to know who they're buying from. People want to feel good and feel like they can trust you. And so sharing your brand story helps build that trust, helps build that relationship. And then from there, I would go into your offer. So this is where if you wanted to go into a launch sequence, you could go into a launch sequence. You can use weeks 1 through 4 as pre-launch. And then when you talk about your offer, you're talking about what it is that they're going to get out of the offer. And all of this is connected, right? So you're talking about how your offer is going to get them from the problems they're experiencing to that solution that they want to get to. And how is it? What are the steps that are going to get them from point A to point B? And so that's really where you want to talk about your offer, the big promise that your offer can give, and let them know exactly how to work with you. And here's where you really want a clear call to action that is either book a call, buy the program, etc., etc. So I will leave you with one last note, which is probably my most frequently asked question when it comes to starting your email marketing list. And it's, how do I grow my list? So ads is probably the most obvious way to do it, but I wouldn't recommend ads until you at least have a good grasp on your messaging and what you want to send people to. So if you are going to send people to a freebie or a lead magnet, right, something that is related to your offer, and then you can have some emails set up so that people, when they download their offer, they get this welcome sequence and they learn about you, right? And so I would actually do that first, create a freebie or an event and promote it either to your own networks and Facebook groups and get some people inside, see how that works. And once you find a good freebie that people really love, go with it. And so you could run ads to it. You can do collaborations. Collaborations are really, really great. I grew my email list a lot by using collaborations where you can give your audience a lot of free stuff, but then you are also getting in front of other people's audiences. And so doing that, really getting your messaging down. And once you feel like, okay, like I have a really good freebie, I have really good emails that come after that, and then you know that that is working, that is helping people get into your offer, then I would run ads to it, just because you don't want to spend a lot of money on something that might not work. And so you want to be very intentional about how you do it. And then I think I said this earlier, but the last piece is just, if you literally have 0 people on your list, just start asking people, get like 10 people on there, just practice, start writing to those 10 people. And just have fun with it. It's definitely something that is going to evolve and grow, and you can try out different things. And yes, it probably is going to feel scary at first, just like the first time you showed up on social media might have felt scary at first, but it is honestly such a great way to market your business without having to show up all the time. And if you continuously grow your email and continuously send emails, it's just an easy way to market your business without having to be on all the time. So if you're somebody who wants help coming up with what to say in your emails, this is something that I do with my clients inside Copy Classroom all of the time. So check out Copy Classroom. I'll link it in the show notes below. And until next time. That's a wrap on today's episode. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to rate and leave a review on your preferred listening platform. If you haven't, make sure you subscribe for weekly episodes about how to make money and work with the dreamiest of clients without having to get dressed in the morning. Make sure to check out the show notes down below, and I'll see you in the next episode.